factoring a trinomial, there's not generally your factoring formula like with the two terms. So we're just going to kind of try and get this into two binomials really. We do have to check for our greatest common factor first. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there isn't. Okay? So this first one we look and see, are all the terms divisible by something? They're all divisible by 2. So I divide 2 from all of these terms. Okay. Once I've taken any common factors out, now I'm going to attempt to factor down into two binomials. The common factor I took out stays there. Okay. The pattern is this. It's kind of like, or exactly like, reverse FOIL. Everyone in here probably knows what FOIL is for multiplying binomials. It's just kind of the reverse of that. What times what would give the first term here? Well, x times x would give x squared. These two numbers are typically the challenge. I need to know what times what gives negative 14 and what plus what, when these add together, give 5. Okay, so I need two numbers that multiply to the negative 14. Those same two numbers must then add to the 5. Okay, so think of all the ways that you can multiply to negative 14 and then choose the one whose numbers also add to positive 5. And if you think about those, you get positive 7 and negative 2. 7 and negative 2 multiply to negative 14. 7 minus 2 is 5. That's my factors. In the second example, you begin by scanning the problem and asking, again, are there any common factors? And there are not any common factors, so we need to just begin the factoring process into two binomials. Okay, well first I want to know what times what gives 35x squared. Now it could be 35x times x, but that's pretty unusual to have that happen. I'm going to go with maybe something other than the number times 1. I'm going to go with it and try 7x times 5x. It's probably more likely that that's going to be the solution. Now the numbers that I want here still are going to multiply to negative 12. Okay. When FOILed, they're going to add to the negative 1. Okay. And so I have to consider multiplying to negative 12. I could choose negative 1 and 12, 1, negative 12. We could choose negative 3, 4, 3, negative 4. I could also choose negative 2, 6, 2, negative 6. So there are 6 different options. All right. I need to pick the right option and place them in the right order such that when I FOIL, they add to negative 1 in the middle. That's the challenge. Okay, somewhat some guess and check. I'm going to try putting the 4 here, 3 here. I just have to decide where's the positive, where's the negative. I'm going to go with plus and minus. Okay, so if I were to FOIL, okay, let's go through the FOIL steps here. Let's change color to identify the FOIL steps. This is the first step. We already know that's 35x squared. Okay. This is the last step. I already know that's negative 12. What I need to check is the outside and the inside and see, do they become negative 1? Because if they do, then this is the factors. Okay, so we check this. 4 times 5x is 20x. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21x. Add those together, we get negative 1x. So this is the factors of my original polynomial. Finally, I want to end with a couple of problems of how do we factor with 4 terms. For 4 terms, I use a technique most people call grouping. What I'm going to do is group the 4 terms into 2 pairs of terms. And typically we can do this with the first 2 and the second 2, or I can do the first and third and the second and the fourth. I usually just do the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms, just because it's already, I don't have to rearrange it, so it's kind of easier that way. And what I'm going to do is look for common factors. Look for common factors within the pairs. Okay? So within this pair, I can take out an x squared. It would leave me with 3x plus 1. Within this pair, I can take out a negative 2. So I'm going to divide these by 2 and take out the negative. It's going to leave me with 3x plus 1. What I want, what you're always going to want, is for these to be the same. Okay? If those are the same, then I can factor this by grouping. I can finish it. Because now what I see is that, this is x squared times this. These are factors, and these are factors. And what I see now underlined in red are common factors. I'm going to take out the common factor, 3x plus 1. Now, if I took this 3x plus 1 out of the first term, I left behind the x squared. If I take it out of this term, I left behind the minus 2. And that's finished. Okay, let's try the same thing for this last example. I'm going to group them first 2 terms, second 2 terms. In the first 2 terms, they share a 2 and an a in common. Take those out, I'm left with c minus d. In the second 2 terms, they share a b in common. Remove the b, I'm left with c minus d. Notice that the binomial in the parentheses, just like over here, is the same. Since it is the same, it comes out. There's the c minus d. What's left behind is 2a plus b. There's our factors.